Every season we have breakouts and comebacks, but which players are poised for fall-offs? I have 5 running backs right here for you that are set to see major regressions right here on the Fast Draft channel. The first one has been a favorite of my hate list, and that is Kyren Williams. I know that he's won a lot of us championships, and I know that he's been incredibly productive, and I know that he's in a great offense. So then, why am I putting him on a fade list? And it's simple. Touchdown cologne, baby. Kyren Williams is one of these running backs that isn't hyper efficient, yet he scores a lot of touchdowns from 1 yard out, including a lot of 1 yard dump offs from Matt Stafford. We can't continue to bet on that because touchdowns, and particularly touchdowns from inefficient running backs, are one of the least stickiest stats. Moreover, they're one of the stickiest stats as an indicator of regression. He's in the less than 10th percentile of broken tackle rate, only an 85.4% positive run rate. It's not great. And the biggest thing that is holding him up is being in a Sean McVay offense with Matt Stafford and little competition. But fast forward, I know that we had Blake Corum. Blake Corum had a slow start. Moreover, Blake Corum dealt with injuries. But keep in mind, he wasn't exactly the ideal scheme fit. Fast forward even further to this past draft season, and guess who gets drafted? Jarquez Hunter, who had one of the highest outside zone run rates in college football. And you know what scheme that the Rams run? The outside zone scheme, baby. And we could see both Jarquez Hunter and Blake Corum dip into that production. And when you're not efficient, and then when you're only scoring from touchdowns, and then you got someone like Blake Corum who can break tackles in the short yardage, and Jarquez Hunter who gives you that explosive run rate, it fixes a huge problem in your offense. There is no better time to get off Kyren Williams in every format. Trade him away in Dynasty, and particularly where he's going in Bestball, like in our Rabbit tournament, Jaden Daniels is right there. You could get Jalen Hurts afterwards. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Why have a quarterback that could be the highest scoring fantasy player and #1 at their position when you can have a running back poised to fall off, and if he doesn't get 10 touchdowns, won't crack the top 12 of running backs? Draft smarter, people. I'm fading Kyren Williams in 2025, and you should too. Next, it's James Cook. Say it with me slow, people. Touchdown cologne. Also, Ray Davis and Ty Johnson were productive. Also, Josh Allen runs the football. I have a hard time believing that James Cook can replicate 20 touchdowns on the year when there's all those mouths to feed, and he hasn't been with the team. We saw a bit of that explosiveness that we expected, and that did pay off. But again, I just didn't see enough to say that he is a good running back that they're going to keep giving 15 to 20 touches, particularly around the goal line when they spent draft capital on Ray Davis and he's unhappy. I won't hammer it here too long. The same reasons I don't like James Cook is another reason I like Kyren Williams, but I will give him credit. He is a way more of an explosive runner. So if there's anyone on this list that you could argue with me about, and I won't give you too much pushback, it's James Cook. But it's who's around him that makes it easier for me to fade him. In our Rabbit tournament, DJ Moore is after him, Kenneth Walker, Jameson Williams, Joe Burrow, Chuba Hubbard. I just think that the upside that you could get for what I think James Cook is actually giving you, not what people think, like 20 touchdowns again, you could probably get that a round or two later, and you could snag a wide receiver or let's say another running back with a safer floor instead of that. And then again, Joe Burrow, I know he doesn't rush the football, but he won a lot of people money in Bestball because he throws a lot of touchdowns to those guys, T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, who I'm sure you're familiar with. James Cook, guys, is the perfect example, as it's not so much the player as it's the ADP for me, and I'm fading in 2025. Before we go any further, hit the like and subscribe button so I can continue to give you quality videos to your feed. Moreover, if you want the latest Bestball, NFL, Dynasty, just plain football news, you can get that right here at Fast Draft. Or you can go in our bio, click the link, get in our Discord, where you could hop in our Rabbit tournament, join in all the Bestball action with all of our unique tournaments. We'll even do you a deposit match. Just use my code on the screen, JAG, and we'll give you up to $50 in a deposit match. This is the fastest place to do Bestball, folks, and we want to make it easier for you to play. So again, hop in that Discord every Friday. We are launching cool contests for you so you could play the game that we all love. All right, we'll hop right back into it, folks, with another one. Joe Mixon. I feel like we've been preying on Joe Mixon's downfall as a community for about 5 seasons now, but I finally feel like we've hit the wall. When you're in your age 29 season and you are still inefficient, you still fall off towards the second half of every season. And then you're the Texans, who have their franchise quarterback just went all in and rebuilding that wide receiver room. And you think that you could win your division of the AFC South and make a major push in the playoffs. You sign Nick Chubb. You go and trade future draft capital to get back in to draft Woody Marks. I think that Joe Mixon's days are numbered if he continues to put up some of the worst efficiency numbers in football. Worse yet, he's already dealing with an injury and we haven't even hit training camp yet. 9.8% broken tackle rate, terrible yards after contact, 2.3 yards after contact to be exact. Isn't much of a factor in the passing game anymore. And keep in mind, they brought in Woody Marks and then Nick Chubb. I know we saw horrific injuries from Nick Chubb. I believe more in that Chubb recovers, and even if he's 80% of where he was, 60%, I feel like that version will cut into Joe Mixon's workload, and Woody Marks, who is an older prospect and a receiving running back, will eat into that workload more than Joe Mixon is going to continue to pay off at his ridiculous draft price. It may seem that he has a reasonable cost for where he's going, 5th, 6th round, but there's no way that I'm taking him ahead of Trevion Henderson, James Conner, Caleb Johnson, Zay Flowers, even DeAndre Swift, because I feel like they will pay off at ADP more than Joe Mixon will. Moreover, if you are taking wide receiver, tight end, quarterback early, and you think that, oh, I could just get Joe Mixon as my RB1 later, that leaves you right underneath the sword waiting for your death sentence, and you're going to be one of those guys who are grinding on the waiver wire. Or worse yet, you're in Bestball and you're just stuck with it and you just have to light that money you spent on that roster on fire. Avoid Joe Mixon, guys. There are too many younger running backs with better opportunity for you to keep paying for that dusty production. This next one's going to kill me because he's been a favorite of mine, but it's David Montgomery. I think the monkey's out of the barrel, man. We saw after he went down last season what Jahmyr Gibbs can do with the full workload. And worse yet, Ben Johnson is out of town. So those are two big major things that worry me, that David Montgomery is going to continue to see that workload and get 10 touchdowns. I think that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to start to see 60 to 65% of those touches. And then old David Montgomery is only on the goal line at best. And that means that every game you have to count on a touchdown for him to be productive. And we were already almost at that point. David Montgomery saw a little bit of usage in the passing game while Ben Johnson was there. And he was number 2 in explosive run rate, only behind Jahmyr Gibbs. He only gets older. This offense, we all think, may regress, not just because we think that they're worse, but mainly because that defense only has room to get better after almost the entire starting lineup went down last season. It just seems that at this point in David Montgomery's career, he should be drafted more as a backup and not where we're taking him. Ahead of Quinshon Judkins, which I see why Judkins has fallen now. Ahead of TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Chris Godwin. In this range of players, it seems like you could just take any of these guys and then get Aaron Jones later. I think Tony Pollard has the same upside as David Montgomery at this point, and that's saying something. We got to remember that David Montgomery was a good time, but we all knew as soon as Jahmyr Gibbs came in town that it was not going to be a long time, and I think that season's in 2025, so this is the time where I'm either going to hold and ride him into the sunset depending on if I'm in a dynasty roster, what I'm doing, but especially in Bestball, especially in our Rabbit, I'm just going to move off on David Montgomery. Let someone else have him, and I'm just going to take my spot somewhere else because at this point, he's an expensive backup to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, I will finish on a vet. And I know I just mentioned him as someone I'd rather have than David Montgomery, which is still true, but I still would rather not have Aaron Jones when I can get Jordan Mason later. People underestimate just how many touches that Aaron Jones got. And this is his age 30 season, and we've seen him miss time before. Last season was an outlier for a lot of these older backs, and I don't think we're going to get that same kind of luck this next season. I'm all in on the Vikings offense and want pieces. This is a not Aaron Jones, but Jordan Mason at cost here. And particularly who is going around the Aaron Jones range. I already mentioned these people with David Montgomery, but to go even further down here, again, Justin Fields is someone that I like in fantasy football. If you hate Justin Fields, I'm sure you like Patrick Mahomes. He's right there. It just seems like there's so many better bets to build good pieces in your offense that are actually going to contribute, crack your lineup, and be effective in winning you money other than Aaron Jones. I do think that he could be a quality flex, but at this point, Isaiah Pacheco is going significantly after him. And if he's recovered from injuries and the fact that the Chiefs still haven't brought in another running back to fill in the early down role, Isaiah Pacheco is essentially the same thing as David Montgomery and Aaron Jones at cost when you think about the fantasy points at the end of every week. I've said it before and I'll say it again. It's not always the players, guys. It's the ADP. A 30-year-old running back who's probably just going to be a change of pace running back in an offense that, granted, is very good and we expect a lot of things from, but with basically a rookie quarterback, it just seems like you could have a better, higher upside bet elsewhere. As always, folks, those are your 5 running backs who I see poised for huge regressions. I'm Jagger May. Make sure to hit the like, subscribe button, and if you want in on the fast draft action, use my code on the screen. Love you. We'll see you on the next one.
So I thought I needed.